Maverick Physical Therapy, welcome to a little episode 5 on thoracic spine matrix. If you need a little review in terms of some of the nomenclature stuff that we talked about and the board that I brought out for you in regards to kind of the process that I go through and the little 9-box segments that we'll kind of pick and choose from the sagittal, the frontal, and the transverse planes to drive motion. Reverse it back to episode 1, take a little look at that. Right now in episode 5, so in episode 1 through 4, we pre-position an upper extremity either in the transverse plane or in the frontal plane, and we drove with the other extremity and had a preset kind of lower extremity kind of bottom up kind of driver. What we're going to do in episode 5 now, and I'm not sure how many episodes this is going to kind of persist for. We'll see kind of time wise what we get through and everything like that. But what I'm going to take you through now is a progression of sequences that will go about driving both upper extremity at the same time, or kind of presetting an upper extremity without any kind of assistance. And I'm not quite sure if we'll do that or not, just due to the fact that we've already kind of played around with presetting the upper extremity with the dowel. You'd basically just take the dowel away and preset your upper extremity just in air. So I'm going to take you through my sequences right now, kind of standing up. We're going to go after type 2 out of sync and in sync first. Next episode we'll focus on type 1 out of sync and in sync, and we've got some great stuff coming on up on the wall, our closed kinetic chain progression, some stuff, some great stuff that I put together a good 13, 14 years ago. Started really digging into with my throwing and swinging athletes, and got some phenomenal results, and was very curious and intrigued as to why that was, but the big chain reaction like process. And then we're going to progress to kind of some bungee cord and some PVC pipe like systems, very simple, cheap stuff that I've designed and put together that I think that you'll really enjoy, find beneficial as well. So the thoracic spine, back in the day, our ancestors were not good hunters and gatherers if they did not have a mobile thoracic spine. You can't swing, you can't throw, and you can't, if you can't use the mobility of the thoracic spine to load your hips, you're not going to be able to outrun the predator when you're the prey, and you're not going to be able to chase down the prey when you're the predator. It's that simple. Load, do, explode. So what we'll do first, so just a very quick simple review clinic wise. I'll go through basically first kind of our three-dimensional kind of progression, assessing kind of the motion, and I'll add a little lunge with those guys. But in the clinic, what I'm doing and what I showed you on my board, I'll have written out a type 2, I'll have a right and a left, and there will be kind of a little arrow sign, a little greater than arrow sign that connects it to type 2 in sync, and then we'll have type 2 out of sync next to it. Below that, we'll have again with the R and the L, a greater than sign going to the type 1 in sync or out of sync, and then the same thing, right and left going to the type 1 out of sync or in sync, whichever you didn't use on the last one. And I'll use the R and the P, restricted and painful. Do I have an asterisk sign if one of those is painful and reproduces the symptoms that the patient is there for? And or where is the restriction? Is the right side greater than the left side for, let's say for instance, our type 2 out of sync? Is the right rotation more limited than the left rotation? Or the side bend, the right side bend limited more than the left side bend, and how does that compare to in sync? And so that gives me a little bit of an idea, though, where the big deficits are, but I'll also go after where they're the most successful, and that's where we'll get into kind of also the troupling, so the flexion and the extension. So we're taking a look at how the body is reacting to the environment that we're creating and to the drivers we're using for the upper and the lower extremity. So success drives success. If someone is not very successful at something, there's not a lot of great necessity and reason to continue to cram that down their throat when A, they can feel that they're not making very good progress and they're not being very successful, and B, the body subconsciously is aware of, hey, this isn't working out too well. We need to kind of kind of surface reintegrate kind of these blueprints and design a little better of an option. So good to know where the limitations are, but also very, very highly important that we note where the success is and start from there and kind of tease in and tease out of things a little bit. So what I'll do straight up in the clinic. All right, staggered feet. Let's go type 2 out of sync, and we're gonna go, I'll take you exactly through what I'm looking for from the patient in the clinic, but then also from a warm-up, a preparation perspective to sport, competition, athletics, and just daily life. This is what we're gonna do. So I'm first, if I'm going type 2 out of sync, rotation and side bend to the same side, which is left, I'm just for right now gonna point my head forward and get a little C-spine mode in there as well. Or I can let it rotate on out to the left, because the nose and the eyes and the head are also gonna kind of direct the thoracic spine and the trunk a little bit. So what I'm doing here, I'm just looking for a good contribution of motion throughout the whole chain, and then I'll just switch to the other side. If I'm kind of assessing back heel, so my left heel is off the ground, and I'm just going straight, kind of X for the sagittal plane. I'm going right side bend and right rotation for the frontal and transverse. Now, if I were you and I wasn't doing this for an assessment, I would just stick from going to my type 2 out of sync to my type 2 in sync. It kind of keeps the position of the arms kind of the same, which can be a lot of times the most challenging, so that when you get to the other side, you're not like, oh crap, how do I got to reconfigure a little bit again. So our type 2 out of sync, and now we're type 2 in sync. Pelvis and pelvic and shoulder girdle are rotating in the same direction, which is to the left. I'm getting my left rotation and my left side bend. I'll switch to the other side. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. And what I'm doing is getting right rotation and right side bend. Just a good kind of LXX kind of stance. So strategy wise, episode 1 through 4, we played around with the positions of the hands, kind of scratched our heads and thought about, well, what if there's some patients for whatever reason, whether it's some cervical radiculopathy like stuff, some shoulder related pathologies that can't maybe get extremities in some of those positions that we'd like to. So what we'll do with that, our type 2 in sync and out of sync, what we'll do right here, the left arm will just kind of be hanging off to the side, and right arm is going to kind of just rotate and swing to the left a little bit. And so if we're just going straight X for the sagittal plane, we want to try and drive with kind of the shoulder to head high rotational driver, so that we're not driving a lot of flexion. Not to say that flexion isn't good, but depending on the patient and what their needs are, and we might be a good chance that we don't want that to kind of occur at all. So I'll just kind of take my head and I'll rotate it to the left to give me a little more rotation of the trunk. And I've got my side bend, type 2 in sync. So got my staggered feet, heel can be off or can be nice and flat, and upper extremity driving in the same positions. Left rotation, left side bend, just taking my head and my eyes with it, or I can keep it pointed forward to get some right rotation of the cervical spine as well, depending on what we're looking for. Let's go type 2 out of sync with our right rotation or right side bend, staggered feet, RXX position right here. And what I'm going to do, left arm is going to rotate to the right, right arm is going to side bend right. So now let's go ahead, take the head, rotate it right, left arm is rotating right at shoulder to head high or chest high. And then right arm, just leaning to the side, kind of like the song on the little teapot. Type 2 in sync, left leg is forward. Same upper extremity kind of drivers. Left arm is going to rotate right. Right arm is side bending to the right. A couple more. Good. Let's add the sagittal plane to these guys a little bit. So let's go with our type 2 out of sync and in sync. We'll go with some extension first, and then we're going to go with some flexion. We'll show you both positions of that. And actually, let's save that for episode number 6 right now, so we can kind of condense things a little bit to give you a little bit to focus on. Episode 6 coming up.